Bloodborne. One of the greatest games ever created by Hidetaka Miyazaki and his team of skilled and talented designers, game developers and writers. Like the Dark Souls games, Bloodborne also presents an interesting world, together with tough and scary enemies that feed the excellent and highly addictive gameplay. Bloodborne's gameplay is so addictive because it relies on the hunter's ability to be fast and to be aggressive, hacking and slashing your way through Yharnam and the surrounding areas in such a bloodthirsty way in order to regain some extra health. But what I personally consider even more interesting about Bloodborne is the compelling, cryptic and complex lore. But the whole gameplay mechanic etc. actually serves the story itself. So in that sense you might regard the gameplay elements as part of the entire lore. It's comparable with complex writings by some unique philosophers, or like a religious doctrine that you try to understand, or a very difficult puzzle you try to solve. The lore of Bloodborne is without a doubt amazing and immense. Many Bloodborne lore hunters have given us a fair share of interesting lore theories, relating Bloodborne's world with, for instance, Christian theology, or even elemental biology. Just take a look at the human tonsil and the head of an amygdala. Amygdala or amygdala? What is it? Well, never mind. In this video, I shall talk about one core idea for the game as a whole, which I'll connect to one particular ending of the game, also known as the childhood's beginning. I do note that my ideas and suggestions are probably not entirely new, since loads of intelligent people try to understand the lore of this amazing game. This means that there is a good chance that others have come up with similar ideas and theories, and I acknowledge that. The suggestions I come up with are obviously partially wild speculation, but also based on thorough research, which means that I have read a lot of item descriptions, I've literally examined the creatures and the grotesque in the game itself, and in order to discover certain story elements, I've read a lot of theories by other Bloodborne fanatics, etc. So, without further ado, let's begin! The story of Bloodborne is in essence, on a more deeper level, about a huge conflict between two great ones. The Moon Presence, by some called Flora, and Oedon, the formless Great One. But also about your function as the hunter in this conflict. I argue that this conflict is at its core sexually aggressive in nature. Huh? What? Why? Well, hear me out. I regard Oedon as masculine, and the Great One that is formless, as we all know. The formless Oedon rune description tells us the following. A secret symbol left by Carol, runesmith of Bergenworth. The Great One Oedon, lacking form, exists only in voice, and is symbolized by this rune. Those who memorize it enjoy a larger supply of quicksilver bullets. Human or no, the oozing blood is a medium of the highest grade, and the essence of the formless Great One. Both Oedon and his inadvertent worshippers surreptitiously seek the precious blood. So, the Great One Oedon lacks form, exists only in voice, and he seeks the precious blood. And this will be of importance later on. We also know that Oedon, like the other Great Ones, wants a child. The third umbilical cord collected from Ariana's child states that every Great One loses its child and then yearns for a surrogate, and Oedon, the formless Great One, is no different. To think it was corrupted blood that began this eldritch liaison. So Ariana will be covered later, together with the idea of corrupted blood, but for now it is important to know that Oedon can be considered as the god of the gods. So this means, hierarchically, that he stands above the other Great Ones. Oedon impregnates women, human or Pthumerian, in order to get a child. And Oedon seems to prefer Pthumerian women. Think of Ariana or the Queen Yharnam. Thus far, this has not been very successful. His daughters become abominable creatures that eventually die, and the son he has with Yharnam is like Oedon, formless. We also know that the oozing blood is actually the essence of the formless Great One, Oedon, the same blood that has been used by both the Pthumerians and later by the Yarmanites, the same blood that caused the curse. And as we all know, this curse affects all inhabitants, making them crazy and bloodthirsty. Keep this in mind. On the other side of the spectrum, there is the moon presence, who I consider as feminine. And throughout the game she is mentioned a little. However, there are some statues that seem to depict her. Her motives become clear once you complete the childhood's beginning ending. It becomes quite apparent that the moon presence uses you, the hunter, to destroy her tough opponents. And think in particular about the kin and the Great One bosses. The reason for this is that 1. She wants to become all-powerful with the use of the blood echoes you, the pale blood hunter, give to her through the doll. And as we all know, the doll was given to Gehrman by the moon presence. And 2, more importantly, she wants to destroy all children of Oedon, because she knows that a child of Oedon poses a threat for her own life. That's why the moon presence is thwarting the Great One Oedon. You now might be wondering why a child of Oedon poses a threat. Well, as we all know, once we beat the game, following the childhood's beginning ending, we destroy the moon presence, and we, the hunter, become a Great One. This explains the moon presence's desire to wipe out all rivalry, because she understands that the child of Oedon is able to eliminate her. Whoa, hang on. Does this mean that the PC hunter, the hunter we play, is a child of Oedon? In order to explain this, we have to understand who the hunter that we play as actually is. And how do we learn the most about the hunter? Well, through 2 gameplay mechanics. The use of blood echoes and blood vials, and the receiving of insight. The use of blood as a tool of regaining health or becoming stronger connect with the Byrgenwerf scholar Lawrence, of course. And he founded the Healing Church. And his philosophy with regards to the Great Ones was all about the use of blood in order to attain a similar level of strength and power as the Great Ones. Gaining insight concerns Master Willem, the founder of Byrgenwerf. Master Willem saw the importance of knowledge as a way to transcend, becoming a Great One. We all know that everyone that used blood ministry eventually became a victim of the curse, becoming a monster. And the same can be said of the ones who gained too much insight, becoming crazy or ascending into a new being, like Master Willem, who actually became a apathic human snail. The PC hunter uses both the blood and the insight, madman's knowledge, to his advantage. From the perspective of us, the players, it is in order to get stronger with the use of blood echoes and blood vials, but also to make the game harder. Insight does this actually in a lot of ways. What is interesting is that the hunter we play as isn't affected by the dangerous side effects of both the use of blood and insight. And how is that possible? This has probably to do with the specific bloodline of our player's character. I believe that the hunter we play as originated from Cainhurst and is actually a descendant of the Cainhurst nobles. This is obviously a mere speculation, but still based on certain logic, causal story elements in game. The game itself addresses very explicitly that the PC hunter hails from distant lands outside of Yharnam. Moreover, the PC hunter receives a personally addressed letter from Cainhurst, an invitation. That last one is of course refutable, since these letters were sent all over Yharnam. At least that is what Alfred suggests. So how does this add up then? I'll explain it. It has been generally accepted that the Cainhurst nobles and the Hamwick inhabitants are of Pthumerian descent. They were at least partially Pthumerian. This is not only notable in their physical features, but also in their use of arcane powers. The chalices imply that the Pthumerians were actually superhuman beings, since they evolved owing to blood ministration. This allowed the Pthumerians to ascend. However, the curse of the blood, the scourge of the beast came. The ailing Lord Chalice confirms this. The tragedy that struck this ailing land of Lorne is said to have its root in the scourge of the beast. This means that what is now happening in Yharnam has happened before in the Pthumerian society long ago.